So this is my honest advice to anyone who wants to start their own pig farm. If you want to start your pig farm, this is my honest advice to you. Now, the very first thing I'll tell you, as someone who is already experienced in pig farming, the very first thing I'll tell you to do is before you begin to spend any money, before you begin to buy your pigs, before you begin to put up the structures, visit other pig farms and check if pig farming is something you want to do. You know, you can have the vision to have a pig farm, which probably is not coming from a place of experiencing how a pig farm looks like or how a pig farm is done or run. Now, this is why you must go to an actual pig farm and see, for example, you can come to this pig farm, even though we don't allow visitors into our farm, but you can come to this farm or another farm and look at how we do our daily activities here, how we clean the pens, how we feed the pigs, how we medicate the pigs, and all that. And then you ask yourself, is this the kind of thing I can do? Because it's one thing to start a business, and it's also one thing to be able to manage that business. You don't go into a business that you cannot manage. It will be a problem along the line. So you must only start a business that you can be sure you can manage. And the only way to be sure that you can manage a pig farm is by going to a pig farm and seeing how it is run. That is the first advice I'll give to you. And then when you go to the pig farm, you ask questions. Now, the next thing I will advise you to do is learn as much as possible and go for trainings. One of the best things anybody can do for himself or herself before they go into livestock farming is understanding how livestock or how that animal functions, how to feed that animal, how to medicate that animal, how to manage the production process of that animal. Because pig farming involves so many things. Pig farming involves the production aspects, the fattening aspects, the medication aspects, the feeding aspects. There are so many things involved in pig farming that you have to learn. It's not something you can just start up. It's not like a buying and selling business where you buy, you add your profit, you sell. No. Pig farming involves so many things that can make it complicated if you don't have the necessary knowledge. So this is why you must try your best to learn about how pig farming works and how to manage your pigs properly. Now, the third thing is you must have a mentor. Now, just like in every business, having a mentor who can always guide you is important. Having someone you can always reach out to, hey, I'm having this problem, I'm having that problem. How can I sort it out? And the person will help you. So it's always important that you have a mentor. Personally, I had a mentor when I was starting new, and that was one of the things that made everything much easier for me because it's one thing to try to learn everything by yourself, and it's also another thing to try to learn from someone who has already learned. So you need to have a mentor. Now, the fourth thing you must do is you must start small and then you grow big. Pig farming is a business where I will tell you you must learn along the line. And for you to be able to learn along the line, you must start small. Because if you start small, the mistakes you will make will be lesser. Unlike when you began very big, if you are going to make mistakes, you also make the mistake in a very big way. So pig farming is a long-term project. It's not something you get into today and start making money. It takes months, and in some cases, it could take years before you begin. At least 1 year, 6 months, or 2 years before you start making money out of it. So it's not something you can just rush into. And the funny thing is, when pigs begin to multiply, they multiply very fast. You yourself, you might even be overwhelmed. So that's why you must start small. Start with 10 pigs, 20 pigs for someone who doesn't have any knowledge. But if you're already well versed, you have enough knowledge, you know everything, you can go ahead and buy 100 or as many as you want. But for someone who is just doing it for the first time, you can go ahead and buy 10 or 20 pigs and put in the farm and they'll multiply. So that is my honest advice to anyone who wants to go into pig farming. Now, the fifth one is you must buy good breeds. The foundation of every pig farm lies in the kind of breeds they use to start their farm. You can either start with the large whites, the landrace, the TN70, and the others, because the Durocs and the Pietrens are more like a terminal boa breeds. They are mostly used as terminal boas, not really for the production. So large white landrace TN70s for me are the three best for someone who wants to go into pig farming. So that is that. Now the next one is you must plan yourself financially. Pig farming comes at a cost, and most of the times at a very heavy cost. I'm not saying this to discourage you. Don't forget, the title of this video is my honest advice. So I'm just trying to be honest. So pig farming involves a lot of cost. You have to feed your animals for like 1 year or 1 year 6 months before they begin to multiply. Then you begin to sell. So you must budget yourself to feed animals for like a year or a year and a half. That's why I always say start small, because it will be easy for you to go and buy 100, but to feed that 100 and feed them well might be a challenge. Now, not say you cannot do it. People like there are people who can do it comfortably, but it's just best to start small for something you don't really know very well. So it's best to start small. So you must plan yourself that you feed these pigs for 1 year, 6 months, and on average, we spend about, depending on the size of the pig, sometimes 15,000 naira for those in Nigeria, 15,000 naira, 20,000 naira to feed each pig per month. So you see, like it's not really something that is very, very simple. So you must plan yourself to feed your pigs for that number of months. Then, of course, the last one is you must have bigger dreams. Probably start with 20. If you have the ambition, okay, if I start with 20, in the next 2 years, I want to have 100. In the next 4 years, I want to have 500. Like that, you begin to accelerate and expand. Because it doesn't make any sense to start a business and you remain a small business. The aim of every small business is to be a big business. Then from there, possibly it could become a conglomerate. So it all depends. But at the end of the day, you must think big, you must plan big, and you must put in the effort. So that's basically my honest advice to you guys who want to go into pig farming.